Hey guys, just sending this out real quick. Sending this out real quick. Hey guys, just sending this out real. Sorry, we're gonna get going here in a minute. All right, who do we got in here? So we just want to talk about recap the draft a little bit. Maybe talk about how I think it's starting tomorrow. The free agents will not count towards compensatory picks anymore. So there's a lot of rumblings going around that we can see a lot more action as people may be more inclined to give a player a 1-year deal, knowing that it won't count towards the compensatory calculations. So it'll be real interesting to see if the Jets do anything. I think they would have to cut some people first to clear up some cap space. But the notable people, I don't think Winters is very long for this team anymore. Who else did we not cut yet? Williamson. I think they could try to trade Henry Anderson. I don't know if they'd really be able to get anything. Plus, he might be one that you trade like in training camp when you're about to make final cut downs. So it's going to be interesting. I want to see if we get some more people in here, get some comments going. I know I just did my recap this morning, so I don't want to just keep going into all the same information. I want to see if we get some interaction going in here. We really want to see what you guys think, what you guys want to talk about here. So I was reading an article that Manish Mehta actually put out about an interview, I guess, that was done with Mekhi Becton's trainer, talking about them going through the draft and how much he's helped them since he's left college to really try to get on a strict eating diet so that he can manage his weight, which I think was obviously that was a big concern for some people, saying that his, weight could be an issue. They thought as he started to continue and progress that they didn't know if that would be something that it would be hard for him to maintain keeping that weight off. But they actually got him on a diet where he's actually intaking more calories than he was currently, but he's eating smarter, which makes sense. He's eating leaner proteins. He's eating a lot more greens and vegetables and things like that. So they actually said by upping his calorie intake and getting him eating the right types of foods, he's actually was able to lose quite a bit of weight and keep it off. So that's really good to hear that he's working with somebody. And his trainer also said that he is pissed off and happy that he is a New York Jet because he's never felt like the guy and he feels slighted in that way. So it's interesting to see that and hear that because he wants to prove the Giants wrong. And he is so happy that he's with the Jets in New York, same building as the Giants. He wants to prove to them that they made the wrong choice and that he should have been the number one tackle taken. So just interesting. I was just reading some comments there, sorry. But interesting to hear that. I love that he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's going to keep that chip there. He's going to work very hard. Makes me feel a little bit better about the pick. I loved the pick from the beginning. I wanted him over Wirfs in that moment because, as I mentioned in my video, Becton is definitely more of a left tackle, whereas Wirfs could easily be transitions into a guard. I think he will try out the tackle position at first, and if that doesn't work, then they'll slide him on down. But that makes me feel a little bit better because now what Joe Douglas is known and what Joe Douglas looks for in all these people is that high character, hardworking individual. So That's going to make me feel, a lot better knowing that he does have that chip and he has something to strive for. He feels like he has something to prove, and that's a strong motivator. Just on a side note, because I just thought of Becton, the video that came out a little bit before the draft of Becton pushing that vehicle. I just saw one today again, Quinnen Williams actually pushing some kind of truck. I forget what it was, but he was pushing it back and forth up the streets. So these guys are obviously getting creative with the whole coronavirus, not being able to get to gyms and do the workouts that they're normally doing. So they got to figure out something to do to stay in shape here. But is there anything you guys want to talk about? I know we got a few people in here. Kind of wanted to, instead of me just rambling the whole time, wanted to see what you guys wanted to discuss. So I kind of want to figure while we wait to see if more people even come in, or if you guys want to, like I said, maybe comment about what you may want to talk about. Kind of want to go through what I thought the depth chart was and how many of these rookies do I think could be starting and playing significant time. So we start on offense, start at the quarterback position. Obviously, that's going to be Sam Darnold. I liked the pick of Morgan. We needed a backup, and I hope that in a year or two we can parlay him into a bigger pick if we can develop him and hope that he can show out during the preseason so that, we can parlay him into a better pick. So, no surprise there. Running back, obviously we got Bell. Then I'd have P. Ryan as the number 2, Allen as the number 3. Wide receivers, this is where Mims is going to get that start. You have Perryman at the other spot and with Crowder in the slot. And then after that, it gets very, very interesting because we'll have a lot of people competing for that 4th wide receiver spot. You'll have Braxton Berrios, who is going to be competing for not only the 4th wide receiver spot, he's also going to be competing for the return man jobs like he did last year. Then after that, you have perfectly fine, Grant. Glad to have you in here. But so you have – sorry, back – now I lost my train of thought there for a second. So, yeah, Berrios, Vincent Smith, who really started to come on a little bit. I know his stats didn't show it, but Gase and the coaches were putting confidence in him where they were dialing up plays for him deep. I think that was also to try to free up Robbie a little bit because he was getting a lot of attention as he was coming on strong once Sam came back. You also have Josh Doxson, who we took kind of a flyer on. And then Cager, who we got as an undrafted free agent. I really like this guy from what I've seen. Injuries has been a huge issue. Torn ACL in college, broken ankle in college. So a lot of different injuries that have taken him out for significant amounts of time. So, but he's a 6'5" wide receiver, 80-inch wingspan, can really go up and pick it. I can see him pushing for a roster spot. And what might get him this spot is Berrios could be very expendable. Berrios didn't really impress me too much from the wide receiver standpoint. Didn't really stand out in the return game either. And now with the safety we brought in and some of these other people we brought in, we may not need him in the return game anymore either. So it's going to be interesting to see if Berrios can hold his roster spot this year. I can see Cager taking it from him because Cager has that X factor of he's 6'5", he can jump and he can go up and get those end zone fades. So I think he could bring a red zone target for Sam Darnold. So that wide receiver position, the top 3 are locked in, I think, and then it gets really interesting after that who's going to make the roster. You also have Jeff Smith, too, which I wasn't really a big fan on him. I think the only reason he was really on the roster towards the end there is all the injuries that we had incurred as a team. Vib Shop, yeah, I agree with you, man. I thought we needed a second wide receiver out of the draft as well. I'm happy that we did get Kadres undrafted because, like I said, if he can stay healthy, I think that can lessen the blow of us not getting that second wide receiver. I haven't done a lot of research into next year's draft yet. Obviously, we just finished this one, but I had a few buddies tell me that next year's wide receiver class is pretty loaded as well. So maybe Perriman can kind of just hold us over for this 1 year, and then we can go ahead and take a stab at another wide receiver or two next year. So we'll see. There's going to be a lot of bodies in there competing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So we bump into the tight end spot. This is, more of the same from last year, just the addition of Herndon being back and healthy and not suspended for doing stupid stuff. Hopefully that was just a one and done type of lapse in judgment there by Herndon, because I was really high on him, and I still am. I think he's got a bright future. So you got Herndon, you got Griffin, and then Wesco is that kind of Swiss Army over there where he can play inline tight end. He can kind of motion into the fullback in the backfield. So really nice trio of tight ends right there. And then you also have Brown, who's kind of like just that security extra guy. He may not even make the team. I don't know if we'll carry 4 tight ends. We always broken down players. Yeah, no, I understand vibes about that. It is tough when you pick up a lot of broken down players and hope that they can be fixed or all of a sudden now stay healthy. So, I mean, that's why it was great. He's undrafted. It's not like we spent a draft pick on him. So really no harm, no foul in trying out with him. But that's why I did give a B+ and didn't give an A grade, because even some of our draft picks are guys who are coming off of injuries. Zuniga, Hall, right? So it's going to be tough to give an A grade when these guys can easily go one way or the other. If they all stay healthy and play to their ability, yeah, we got some steals in the draft, but that could be asking a lot. Frank, any position in particular you're wondering about who's going to get cut, or you mean cut now? So cut now, I would say Winters. I don't see him very long for this team. Clark is going to probably bump into guard. We also brought in, obviously, Van Roten. We brought back Lewis. So I can see Winters getting cut pretty soon. I just don't know how it works if they didn't get a medically clear on him yet, if they may have to owe him more money or not. I'm not certain. So they may be waiting for that to let him go. I kind of see Williamson going, but at this point, it's like if you don't need the money for somebody else, if you don't plan on bringing in like Everson Griffin or somebody like that, what's the purpose in cutting Williamson? Might as well let him play out the last year of his contract. He's a very good player. So, and I was looking forward to seeing Mosley and Williamson play together. I think that would be outstanding. Imagine that. We were top 10 defense last year. Imagine you plug CJ Mosley and Avery Williamson into the middle of that defense. I mean, come on. We would be one of the top defenses in the league, without a doubt. And now you factor in the fact that we actually have an offensive line. And this offensive line is going to help us to control the clock a little more so that the defense doesn't have to be on the field as often. We brought in Man in the 6th round, help us to flip the field position. These things help the defense, right? When your team is going 3 and out, that doesn't help your defense. They need time to rest and sit on the sideline to not just constantly be on the field the whole game. They'll start to wear down and they give up yards and points towards the end of the game. So inserting those players back from injury, improving the offense, improving the punting game is going to help that what was already a top 10 defense. Yeah, Beacham's not on the team anymore. I don't know if you're saying we should cut him or if you were just saying that he needed to go, but he is gone. Grant, I read something about cutting Winters after June 6th or something, so it saves. I'm not sure about that. I thought that we cut Winters at any point and it didn't cost us anything. So that's the case with technically Tremaine Johnson is still on the roster because they designated him as a post-June 1 cut. So he's going to be technically on the roster. Like if you go on to over the cap, you'll see him still on there. Yes, our defense is always really good. It's crazy to think that, though. All the GMs we went through, all the coaches we've went through, we've always had a very solid run defense. Our run defense has always been from Snacks to, I mean, we picked guys up. Snacks was undrafted. Fatu Kasi was a 6th round. We always get these interior defensive linemen out of nowhere that really produce. And that's why I was so baffled at Maccagnan's drafts all the time. It's like we would pick up these guys off the scrap heap, essentially, and they would produce very well. So it's like, why are we spending premium picks on interior defensive linemen? It never made sense to me at all. Which free agents should we target? I think free agents that we should possibly look at, and these would all be 1-year deals. I do not, and I've said it plenty of times, I do not want Clowney. I think he is an elite run defender, not an elite pass rusher. I mean, for all the skills he's had, he was with J.J. Watt and couldn't get 10 sacks. Last year, he got, 3.5? How much do you think he's going to get over here? Probably about the same. We need an edge. I would rather bring in Everson Griffin. That's somebody I'd probably bring in on a 1-year deal. Other than that, I mean, I'm not really sure who else we'd bring in. We brought in a ton of cornerbacks now, especially with that trade, and then we just signed 2 more as undrafted free agents. We have a ton. I don't know that defensive player from the Giants. Oh, you're talking about the edge, Golston. No. What's his name? I know who you're talking about. He had like 10 sacks last year. Yeah, I would bring him in too on a 1-year deal. Golden. I was about to say Golston. Go back. Yes, Golden. What I've heard, I watch Entertainer a lot. I'm sure you guys have seen his channel. He's a huge Giants fan, got a big following. He said Marcus Golden. Golden really fit that defensive coordinator system. He had a big year in Arizona, and then the defensive coordinator switched, went to the Giants. He didn't do so well. He came over to the Giants, had a great year last year. So I don't know what kind of defense they ran. I didn't really follow the Giants too much last year, but it seems like he's a real scheme fit. If I tell you what, whoever Greg Williams wants to add on that defense, I'm all for. If Greg Williams thinks he can get even more out of Golden, I would. But see, he's somebody that kind of intrigues me more than a Clowney, because the thing is, Golden was on the Giants, who they don't have an elite pass rusher. Right, and he still put up double-digit sacks. Clowney is playing with J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless, who are drawing so many doubles and triple teams, well, at least triple teams for Watt, and he still couldn't get 10 sacks. So it's like, you got to just look at that and say, well, he's not the type of player that we need. He's a much better Leonard Williams, and we don't need that. I mean, we got Phillips undrafted, another one, right? So we plug and play that defensive line pretty good. What do you think about wide receiver Lawrence Cage from Georgia? Do you think he'll make the team? I was just talking about that, Victor. Yeah, we definitely don't need no clowns vibes. But I love Cager. I think that if he can stay healthy, he's going to win a spot on this team. That's the thing. Injuries has been his issue. And I think if the whole coronavirus thing wasn't going on, he would have gotten drafted because he was planning to run and practice at Georgia's Pro Day, which actually, obviously never took place. So I think if he would have been able to show something at that Pro Day, it probably would have put him on teams' radars a little bit more. He was the go-to guy at Georgia. Go watch his film. I mean, I can sum it up for you. 75% of it's jump balls, fades in the end zone, that he's just going up over these guys. 6'5", 80-inch wingspan. I think he's got a very good chance of making the team. Victor, I was saying I think he could make the team over Braxton Berrios because I think Berrios can end up losing his return job. And if he loses his return job, he really doesn't have any value to this team anymore because he really didn't show anything on the offensive side of the ball. Keep an eye on Bryce Huff from Memphis, one of our undrafted free agents, 6'3". He can play outside line. Yes, I did speak about him in my recap that came out earlier this morning. Bryce Huff is definitely somebody I can see making this team as well. So the 3 guys I'm really looking at from the undrafted that I think all 3 of them can make it is Huff, Cager, and Lamar Jackson. So, but Lamar Jackson, it's going to be tough for any of these corners. I know, Frank, you mentioned Gudry from Utah. Yes, he ran a 4.29 40 or something like that. That was unbelievable. But they brought in so many corners now that it's going to be tough for these guys to even get reps. So they're going to have to be on top of their game as soon as they get into camp. Because if you don't impress right away, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. I mean, think about it. Let's try to name them all. Desir, Harrison. Vibes, I'm going to get to that in a second about Mims. Harrison, you got Blesson Austin, you got Mollett, the guy we just traded for, Hall, Gudry, Lamar Jackson. I mean, I just named 8 right off the top of my head, and I might be missing at least one. So that's a lot of corners. So they're going to really have to show out if they want a chance to make this team. But as for Bryce Huff, he's somebody that can definitely make this team. I mean, we're just so thin at the outside linebacker position. You look at it, we got Jenkins. We have, I don't know, is Frankie Louvu still on the team? I hope so. I always liked him. I thought he was a good special teams player. He works real hard. And then who else do we really have? I mean, we drafted the guy from Florida, Zuniga. So there's definitely an option for Huff at the outside linebacker position. So Vibes on Mims, yes, he did have quite a few drops in college. What some people don't say is that he was playing with a broken hand. So that is very hard to do when you have a broken hand. So I'm going to give him a pass on it, but I'm going to be looking out for that, right? So early in camp, I'm going to be reading the reports because I'm down in Florida now, so I won't be able to go to any practices to actually see. I used to go to the practices out in Hofstra. I'm originally from New York, but won't be going to any practice obviously anymore. But then early in the preseason, I want to see kind of what he's doing in the games, right? So I gave him a pass on that until further notice because he did have a broken hand, and that could, tough as nails, he kept playing through it. Sorry if you've been asked already, have you done videos with Jets Talk 24/7 or Joe Blewett? No, so I've seen Joe Blewett's channel just recently, like maybe a week before he came on Jets Talk 24/7. I haven't reached out to him yet. Jets Talk 24/7 and Ryan. So a few people have asked me to get on the panel or try to talk to Ryan. Steven, I've been pushing Ryan to kick David and Ed and One Sports MC to that panel for 2 weeks now. Grant, I appreciate that, man. I don't want to kick anybody off, man. I like them all. I think they're all good. I think that my one thing is that they do agree a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's times where I think a little bit differently. I feel like I would love to be a part of that panel. I'd love to collab with any of them. But I've reached out to Ryan on a few occasions. He's always just told me to call into his Monday night show. That's why if you guys watch the show, I try to call in every single Monday. But it gets pretty tough. But hey, if you guys let him know, man, Grant's doing it. If a few other people let him know, if he hears from enough people, man, maybe he'll bring me on. I even, try to get in and fill in for Green Bean on day 2 because I knew he was going to be out. But we'll see, man. I know I'm a new channel. I'm not trying to mooch off anybody. I want to make it on my own merit. I just love talking with people. That's why I wanted to try this out. I had no idea who was going to show up. We have 11 people in here. I'm happy at that, man. I started this a few months ago. You guys are great. I didn't do this to talk to my computer screen, right? Doing the videos, they're great because they get me you guys following. But I'd rather do this where we're kind of just interacting and talking and doing different things because if you see my first few videos, you'll be able to tell the difference in how I talk because it's tough when you first try doing it, just talking to a computer screen. I mean, even now, I'm reading the guys' comments, but I'm really not looking at anybody, right? So it's just an adjustment period. But, hey, I'd be all for collabing with anybody. We have some great Jets YouTubers on here. I like Matt and Green. Yeah, they're all good. But we gotta call David Blankenship now. Whoever said that was hilarious. I don't know if you guys were in there, but they were getting on Gangrene David saying he looked just like Blankenship, just without the glasses, and that was hilarious. He definitely does. Guys, remember we have Mosley, Williamson, and Blake Cashman all coming back next year. That's huge for our defense. Yes, Steven, I was mentioning that before. We had a top 10 defense without any of those guys. imagine plugging them back into the middle of that defense. It's going to be unbelievable. Are you high on Perine pick? PFF hates him. Yeah, so I look at PFF. Thank you, Vibes, for the love, man. I appreciate that. But PFF, I look to them sometimes if I don't know anybody, like, hey, what was that PFF grade last year? But they're not an end all be all. They're obviously just like anybody else. They're humans and they're giving their own opinion on things, right? PFF also hates Mekhi Becton. They had him as like the 40th prospect. They liked, which I like Jones as well. And I was a little higher on Jones than where he went. He went in the third round. I was really surprised he went in the third round. But Perine, I think, is going to be I think that's a Gase pick. I really do. It's a Gase and Douglas pick. So Douglas is more that character. You can tell that Douglas wants people that are not going to be an issue. He wants people that are going to improve the chemistry in that locker room. He drafted 5 straight captains, right? But Perine, I think, fits more into what Gase wants to do because he's a running back by committee kind of guy. He's good at everything, not great at anything. So I really like him for an RB2. I don't know if he'll ever really be an RB1. Like, I don't know if he'll be able to take over for Bell if Bell's not here in a year or two. So, but I think that when Bell leaves, if Gase is still here, if Gase has done a good enough job to justify keeping him, I think Gase is just going to want to have 2 or 3 backs that he just kind of rotates in and out. And that's where Perine would be really good because he can do everything, right? He's not going to excel greatly in one area, but you can put him in kind of like Bilal Powell. I mean, Bilal Powell was a very, very good back, but was he a speed back? I don't think so. Was he a power back? No, but he just did everything right. Great at picking up blocks, great at catching out of the backfield, just did great at seeing the holes and hitting them fast. So just really good at everything. I imagine time will give you more follows and it'll prompt Ryan to add you. You could see both Matt and Ryan were getting annoyed with David. He was constantly interrupting the flow. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I don't want to go on to Ryan's channel because he has a few thousand subscribers, and I think it'll help my channel. I just want to go because I think it'll be really fun, man. I want to just interact with them and be able to chat up with extra, Jet fans. That's why I wanted to try this out tonight. Like I said, see how many people would even come in. But like I said, I never wanted to take anybody's spot. I'd be all for let's make it a 5-way panel, right? And just add me to the mix. But yeah, like I said, it's not for any of that. It's just because I love to interact with other fans. Yeah, I mean that's just one guy. See, Steve is over there as a Jets fan. There's a lot of people that are working those grades. Those guys will free up Adams so much. Yeah, so with Jamal Adams is going to be in the box most of the time with Davis and Mako. Yeah, I like the safety pick. At first, I just wasn't thinking safety. I heard Instantaneous kind of talk about Davis a little bit because they were in the market for safety. They actually got the best safety in the draft in round 2 there. So very good for them. But yeah, that guy can move all around. Now you have 3 safeties that you can put out there that can cover anybody pretty much. May's very good at it. He can come up and man up on somebody. Martin can as well. I mean, not Martin. Davis and Adams. We know Adams can cover a tight end if he has to. So I think this gives Greg Williams the opportunity to just do what he does best and really just dial up crazy coverages, right? So they can you will see that all 3 of them on the field quite a bit. I can promise you that right now. It's not going to be that he's taking time from May or anything like that. All of them are going to be on the field at the same time. Call me crazy, but I think Zuniga is going to be a stud. He's strong and pushes the pocket. So I don't know if you guys listen to him talking, but he said he and obviously you want to hear this confidence and people are going to say this. He said he's the biggest steal of the draft. He said a healthy version of Zuniga is one of the best players in that draft. And that's the thing. That's why he fell to the 3rd round. He could have went 2nd or 3rd round a year ago, came back to try to improve his stock. Unfortunately, he got hurt. So we just need him to stay healthy. An ankle injury seemed to be the thing with us now. Zuniga, Hall, and Cager, all ankle injuries. So I guess we we feel very confident in our doctors to be able to get people off ankle injuries. Just as a little side note there. Beast opposite of Polite. Yeah. What a bad pick that was. I mean, the guy had talent. He just had no work ethic. And I guess Maccagnan didn't care about that because it seems like that wasn't the first time. I don't think Joe Douglas would have ever drafted Polite. I think he would have been off his board. I mean, I was all for the Polite pick at the time. I didn't know that he cared that little. I mean, his Twitter handle was retire moms. You would have thought that he would be motivated to work hard to help retire his mom, right? But I guess he just wanted that first payday and said, hey, Mom, that's enough for you to retire, and there you go. Yeah, Jet Central has great content. Love Jet Central. He doesn't really collab with anybody. Very rarely will you see him do anything. He's his own crew, and he does some great work too. Our defense is going to be better than last year. Oh, of course. I mean, just addition by subtraction when you get rid of those lousy starting corners that we had in Jermaine Johnson and Darryl Roberts, and then addition by health, right? You bring back C.J. Mosley was an all-pro. We were ranked in the top 10 and we just added an all-pro. There you go. I mean, automatically we're going to be better there. And then you just know that these players are going to progress and continue to develop as well. Zuniga turns into a decent edge. Yeah, hey, he lips to God's ears. Hopefully he does because we've been missing one for a long time. The whole damn team was injured. Yeah, they said if you take out franchise quarterbacks, because obviously our franchise quarterback he missed a few games because of mono, but when he was back towards the end of the year, they said if you take out franchise quarterbacks, obviously they get paid way more than anybody else. We had like $20 million more than any other team on the injured reserve. It was ridiculous. Play blame the coaches and personnel staff for bad interviews. Yeah, it was a lot more than bad interviews that caused him. I mean, he not only did we cut him, he got cut from like 2 other teams too, and then was on a practice squad. So bad interviews is not what hurt Polite. But hey, just don't lump Zuniga and Polite together just because they play on the same team. That happens way too much, and people make too many comparisons on. This guy, they played at the same school. Oh, they're going to, just like when we drafted Darnold, they're like, oh, Mark Sanchez. Why? Because they played at the same school? That has nothing to do with it. I'm excited for Zuniga. He seems like a really hard worker. From the video I've seen, he hustles to the end, and that's something that you love to see. And that's something that Clowney does not do. So don't anybody ever mention Clowney to me again because I do not want him. If he'll come for like $8 million, maybe I'll take him for a year. But he's definitely not doing that. I love that they have about 10 corners now. Yeah, Steven, that's what I was saying. It's going to be really tough for some of these people. They have to – Dark Demonic, welcome to the chat, man. I appreciate it, you coming over. But they're going to have – these young corners now are going to have to show out very early on. Otherwise, they're going to get lost in the shuffle, man. What about the kicker? Who do you think we get? We have 2 – and I don't like either of them. I was actually a collegiate kicker myself, just small D3 school, so nowhere close to actually making it to the league or anything. But we have 2 on the roster. I envision us probably going into camp just with those 2, Maher and Flatnose Ficken. But I'm not a big fan of either of them. But I think they're going to get the first crack at it, and then we'll have to see what happens after that, because I don't see them bringing a third guy in right now when there's nothing going on. So I think you start with those 2, and then you kind of go from there and see if one of them starts to mess up pretty early on, maybe cut one of them and bring in somebody else. What would the Jets do in free agency now? Some options at wide receiver. William, I don't know if they really are going to bring in another wide receiver unless maybe somebody shuffles free. They have a lot of bodies in there now. Your top 3 is kind of set with Perryman, Mims, and Crowder. They also have Doxson, who they're taking a flyer on. They got Cager, and they got another undrafted guy. You also have Barrios, Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith. So I think they're going to be good for now at wide receiver, unless somebody trickles free somewhere. Demonic, what player do you see with the most Pro Bowl potential? You talking about from the draft or just in general on the team? If you're talking the draft, most Pro Bowl potential, I probably have to agree with you. I know we were kind of talking about this on the Discord. I would say Mims. I think Mims is one where he's going to get a lot of targets. I saw somebody say he's a sneaky fantasy value for this upcoming year. Crowder is one of Darnold's favorites, so Crowder's going to get his looks. But if the chemistry is not there right away with Perryman, you can see him going to Mims quite a bit. And I love the fact that Mims said that he's actively calling Darnold quite a bit and really just trying to become his best friend. So that's all he can do right now. Obviously, they can't get together and work out together. So the best thing you can do is get in a playbook with your quarterback, kind of start – maybe they can do a virtual meeting where they can go through some film together to try to get on the same page on those option routes. Hey, this is what you're seeing, so that they get on the same page with each other. Hey, Lights, I saw you said you're here late. It's all right, man. We're going to go probably until about 10 o'clock Eastern here. I appreciate everybody coming in, man. I didn't think anybody was really going to show up my first ever live stream, and I really didn't give much notice to anybody. But, man, we're at 19 people right now. Let's get a few more likes in here, though, if we can. We need a kicker. Yeah, definitely do, but I think they're going to stay pat right now. Get those likes up, guys. Thank you. Me neither, but just reading some of these comments. Gonski, do you mean Gostowski, the kicker that was released by the Patriots? I think he would be a nice guy to bring in if the other guys aren't working well. Obviously he's coming off the injury, and that's why the Patriots got rid of him. But why not bring him in to see what he could potentially do here? Joe Douglas moved back, still gets Mims, added Davis, maybe in the last year's rookie deal. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw, what was that guy's name? Oh, I can't remember right now. If it comes to my mind, I'll let you guys know. But there was Demonic will probably know, and he could put it in there because I think it was on the Discord. A guy on Twitter put out a chart of trade value. So I guess he looked at the trade charts and said, hey, who in trades got the most added value by making the trades and who got the worst value? And the Jets were actually number one. By trading back 11 spots, they ended up picking up 2 fourth-round picks and a 6th round for next year. So that was really, really good value that they got. And that's why I wasn't too upset about the fact that we drafted the quarterback. That was an extra pick. Everybody wanted Mims at 48. We get Mims at 59, and now we pick up this quarterback and another offensive lineman. So plus the pick back for next year. So it'd be really good to see what he can do. I hope we can kind of pull a page out of the Patriots book with that quarterback and kind of groom him and then flip him for a 2nd-round pick or so after that. Let me try to see if I can get some of these comments here. Herndon will get his share also. Yes, Herndon was a target, a favorite of Sam Darnold in his rookie year. I envision if Herndon is back and healthy, I think both those tight ends are going to get a lot of targets, him and Griffin. Darnold loves the tight ends. He loves to work that middle of the field. So you can see them both on the field quite a bit. He's going to have a lot of options this year. His weapons should be so much better if everybody can stay healthy. He'll have Bell out of the backfield. He'll have Herndon, Griffin, Mims, Crowder, Perryman. So I'm excited about the weapons that he has. And the thing is, Darnold showed us last year, he can make these guys better. So now that he actually has comparable talent around him, it should be interesting to see. He should make a big leap this year. I would be very disappointed if he didn't. The cornerback spot in training camp picking up who makes the starting spot. Yeah, Dark Demonic. Greg Williams doesn't have his hands filled, but he is the one that I would trust the most out of this whole coaching staff. Like I said, I think it's going to be difficult for him to even evaluate all these corners. I was counting them before. We have at least 8 or 9 corners. So they're going to have to impress early because, it's going to be tough to get reps for all these guys. That's a lot. So I can see them bumping somebody quick. I would say Harrison's on the block. He's got to be looking out because I liked him when we first got him, and then last year he kind of didn't really show me too much. I think he got outplayed by Mollett. I think he got outplayed by Austin, and now you're bringing in Hall, and you're bringing in Lamar Jackson. So you're bringing in competition for him. Not saying that either of those guys are going to be better than him right now, but they're going to be fighting for a spot for sure. Wouldn't mind, but yeah. He's great reviewers, but technically the Jets traded back 11 spots for 2 4th-rounders and Demaryius Thomas. The 6th rounder is the same one we sent. Yeah. So we got a refund. We called up Belichick, said, give us 2 4th rounds and a refund on Demaryius Thomas. So that was pretty good. But so now we should have, if I'm not mistaken, we should just have our normal picks for next year. I don't think we have any extra or any less. I think we should just have 1 pick in each round, unless I'm missing one. How's this for starting 5? Mims, Perriman, Crowder, Bell, Herndon. Not bad guys with a new O-line. Keywords new O-line. Yes. So this is – I mentioned this before too. My starting O-line is going to be – or what I hope is going to be Becton at left tackle. I want Clark at left guard. Watching that film, seeing how nasty he is, I'm impressed with this guy. I like him a lot. He's already building that chemistry with Becton. They've kind of become friends through the whole draft process, and they've kept in touch quite a bit. So I'd put him right there at left guard. Lewis, while he played well last year, he commits too many penalties. He has that attitude towards him, but he lets it go a little too far. And he's just, let's face it, he's not a starting guard in the league. He is a very good backup who can come in and spell when he has to. But I think if you went into the year with him being your starter for the whole year, I think he's going to get exposed. So I'd want Becton, Clark, McGovern, Van Roten, and then the winner of Fant and Edoga. I like Fant a little bit better from what I've heard. But if they can develop Edoga, I know some people are pretty high on him. So let them battle it out. Whoever wins, and the other one will be a backup. The great thing is everybody's like, well, we paid fans so much money, and I've read on different things where they're kind of reviewing the off seasons. They give us a bad grade because we overpaid for Fant. It's essentially a 1-year deal. We gave him 3 years, but we can cut him after the first year, and it really means nothing. So let me see what else we have here. Don't know about this year, but 2021 and beyond, expect to make the playoffs on a consistent basis. Steven, I'm all with you, man. I believe Darnold is the truth, and I think that we're finally have a competent GM to help put the talent around him that is needed. The defense has been there, so we just get this offense going, and we should be playoff contenders for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't really say he had a disappointing 2019 as much as he stupidly got himself suspended. That was right after we drafted him. He got in trouble. They just didn't punish him until the following year. So he's been at least out of trouble for 2 years now. So I think that was just a one and done with him. And then he had the broken ribs and kind of played. He was hurt all year. So I would expect a big year from Herndon. I thought he was really coming into his own towards the end of his rookie season. So it'll be interesting to see if him and Darnold could kind of pick up where they left off with the chemistry that they had, with him now having missed pretty much the whole season. Substitute Perriman with Cager? No, I mean I wouldn't say not this year. Maybe hopefully next year when Perryman's. But what I expect from Cager is I want him to be healthy. I want him to make the team as like maybe the 4th or 5th wide receiver, and I want him to just be the specialist. I don't care if the teams know it's coming. Put him in on one side with Mims or Perryman on the other side because they're both tall as well, and have Herndon in the middle on the goal line, and just you got big bodies everywhere, and you can just throw it up. So I want him to be a specialist this first year where he can kind of just come in and run those fade routes in the corner. So a lot of potential compensatory picks for 2021. Yeah, I mean, that's what Joe Douglas comes from. He comes from teams that know how to manipulate the system and work the system to get these picks. And I think that's why he's waiting out. Like I said, I think it's either tomorrow they can sign anybody and it doesn't count towards that. So I can see them potentially cutting some of these guys, using the freed up money to potentially get somebody else. Do we need a number one corner this year? Do you see us trading this year? No, we're not going to trade this year. We just got him. I think we do need a number one corner. Do we get one this year? No, we don't. I think our corners are going to be better than they were last year, and we had a top 10 defense with the atrocious corners we had last year. So that might just be something that for the long term we have to address maybe next offseason. So what Joe Douglas is doing is he's trying to build through the draft, but he's bringing in pieces now to make it so that we don't have holes all over the team, and we're getting stopgaps until you get him. So that's what Desir is right now. He's a stopgap until they can find their long-term answer at that position. But no, I don't think we trade him, and I don't think we really bring in like a number one corner. We got to hope that one of these guys develops to at least be able to be a solid number two. We have a lot of different options there. So between Austin, Hall, even Mollett played well enough. Lamar Jackson, one of these guys has got to pan out and be at least a solid number two corner for this team. My issue with Herndon is he's been on the field. He has yet to play in 2 seasons because of suspensions and trouble with his personal life or injuries. Yes. Yeah, he does have to step up, Dark Demonic. Like I said, with the trouble, it was right after we drafted him. It's still no excuse, but he has been out of trouble, at least nothing that was caught. Who knows what stupid stuff he could potentially be doing and just not getting caught. But he has potentially been out of trouble for 2 years. So that's good to see. Is it a good idea to trade May now? I think he is the odd man out. I wouldn't trade him now because we got to see what this rookie can do, right? And I like May. It all depends. I don't think May's had that breakout year to where he's going to command a lot of money yet. So if we could potentially, bring him back on a reasonable deal, this league is going to 3 safety sets. With how much they're opening it up, I would bring back May if he has a reasonable enough contract. So no, I wouldn't want to trade him. I mean, I guess if we're going down towards the deadline and the rookie's playing well and a team needs a safety and they're willing to give us something for May and we don't think we're going to re-sign him, then sure, get rid of him. I'd rather trade him and get something back if we could maybe recoup the second-round pick as opposed to just letting him walk and hoping to get a third-round compensatory pick for him. So I don't think it would be anything we would do anytime soon. Maybe, like I said, at the trade deadline. Yeah, our wide receiver room got a little bigger this year, a lot like what Gase had with Denver. Yeah, they're looking for big body guys. They're looking for fast guys. I know Lights, and I was as well. We wanted Isaiah Hodgins. He's a big body guy too. But Gase and Douglas seem to really like receivers that have speed as well. So that might be why we weren't really interested in him. I still think he could have been a really nice add for us. But this offense is going to be potentially very good. The O-line appears to be vastly improved. I'm looking forward to seeing what the squad does and will be badly underestimated by NFL insiders. Yeah, of course. We're always underestimated by NFL insiders. Even when we do have a relatively good team that people know about, we're still always – they love to hate the Jets. That's what it is. We're always going to be seen as like the second team to the Giants for some reason, and they're always going to just want to pile on the Jets. So – It's going to be tough, though, to see with all the new pieces and the coronavirus pandemic, especially with all the new pieces on the offensive line. So the top thing with an offensive line is cohesion and making sure that they understand and are in sync with each other. So a reduced offseason could really hurt this team early on in the season. I'm hoping that at least we get a full training camp out of this because they're going to need it. They're going to need the time to work together. McGovern has been a starting center in this league, and he knows how to make the calls, but he's learning a new offense as well, and he's learning new people around him. He has not played with any of these guys before, so it's going to take some time for them to kind of get that cohesion together, but hopefully they can have a full offseason to do so. What about the new O-line player we drafted in the draft? I heard he would be able to play this year. Not the 11 pick, the other O-line. Yeah, so that was Clark, who I was talking about. I think they're going to bump him in the guard. He's really, really nasty. He's a strong guy. I can see him potentially beating out Lewis. I mentioned that a little bit early on. Top 5 defense, middle of the pack offense. Yeah, top 5 defense without a doubt. Middle of the pack offense, I think that's fair to say, especially with what I was just saying about how there's so many new faces and they're going to need some time to get together and get on the same page. But I tell you what, a middle of the pack offense with a top 5 defense is a playoff team. It is. I don't care how hard our schedule is. That's a playoff team. So I'm all for that. Sign me up if that's what it is. Because the offense is a work in progress. I mean, I'm a big believer in Darnold, but to think that they're going to go from mediocrity and the cellar to the penthouse in one offseason, it's not going to happen. So middle of the pack would be a really nice step for them this year. And I know a lot of people don't like him, but that means Gase did a good job. So we got to see what happens this year. I'm giving Gase the benefit of the doubt. I don't care what happened in Miami, and I know people are going to get mad at me. I'm not a Gase supporter. I'm giving him an opportunity because I don't care if you named Gase with, replace him with whoever you wanted us to draft. They wouldn't have done any better last year. We were so devastated. We had no talent. That's what happens when you constantly miss in the mid rounds, is that you have no depth on the team at all. And you take some injuries like we did last year and you have no chance. It's May last year. That's why. It's May's last year, like we just mentioned. So Joe is thinking ahead, and it just gives him that flexibility, and that's what it is. When you draft well in these mid rounds, your team, and when you have a successful team, you lose players, right? Look at the Patriots; they lose players all the time. Look at the Ravens, right? We've taken quite a few players from the Ravens. You're going to lose people because you can't pay everybody. So you have to draft well in these mid rounds to replace them at cost-effective deals. So I think it was great that he brought him in. If you can bring him back on a reasonable deal, you bring him back. Do you like the Jabari pick? I'm liking it more that I look at it, the Jabari pick, but I liked his teammate as well, Grenard, who went a few picks later to the Texans. But he's got a lot of potential, man. I think that if he was healthy, he would have went higher. So, and that's a big theme of this draft for us. If these players were healthy, we probably wouldn't have got him when we got him. You can say that about Zuniga. You can say that about Hall. You can even say that about Cager. I think he would have been drafted if he was healthy. So it's going to be just interesting to see if these guys can stay healthy and develop the way they are. So let's see. Oh, sorry, I'm a little bit further back in the chat here. So just trying to catch up. But now Hodgins is with the goddamn Bills. Yeah, I know. I was talking to my buddy who's a Bills fan. We work together, and he just lives up in Buffalo. And I was telling him about Hodgins because he had no idea who he was. He doesn't follow in depth as much. And I was like, I hate that he went to you guys. So, it's just one thing when you get yourself so hyped up on a player and you want him, and we don't get him. I mean, it's not that big a deal if we don't get him. But then it's like when a division rival gets him, you're just like, come on, man. Because if Hodgins would have went to, I don't know, Seattle or San Francisco or some team that's on the other conference, I wouldn't mind rooting for him. I would have kept rooting for him. But now it's I can't even root for him because he's on the Bills. Yeah, even though I know. We still get no respect, Demonic. Even though we always beat the Giants, they're still seen as the better franchise. Probably because we've just had so many incompetent people over the course of our time. Joe Douglas is a good GM. I really like his plan. The drafting is rock solid. Yeah. So curious about was not drafting Curtis Weaver, who is higher on my board. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have heard somebody say that Curtis Weaver may have had a character issue, and that might be why Douglas values that very high. And so when we first got Joe Douglas and the rumors were coming out, you read around that he was well respected within the league and seen as the next big GM. And a lot of teams were going to be interested in him the following year because we kind of fired our GM at a weird time when nobody else does. So I took that and took where he came from, and he came from some great organizations, and I put my trust in that. And I really liked what he did in free agency. But this draft was big. It was crucial to see what he was going to do. And now, even if it doesn't pan out, I think what he did in his approach and his strategy in the long run is going to work out for us. So anybody can not pan out, right? And we go back to some of the players that we've drafted in the past. injuries can just really derail somebody's career. D. Milner, I thought he came on well towards the end of his rookie year, but then just could not stay healthy and then just regressed because he was missing so much time. Not to say he would have been the next Revis, but he could have been a competent starter in the league if he was healthy enough to continue to develop. He had a bunch of injuries in college, but never missed a game. So he played through a lot of things, but never missed a game. All of a sudden he comes to the league, and now he misses every single game. So you never know what can happen. But I like his philosophies and how he kind of worked the draft. If Jamal is here, I'd say top 13 defense. So, Demonic, my question to you, top 13 defense, I would assume the answer would just be that we're playing better teams this year, and that's why. But we were top 10 defense last year without Mosley and without Williamson. If we do keep Williamson, adding those two elite inside linebackers should make us even better. But, yes, I know, and that's probably why you said top 13. We will be playing some stiffer competition this year. So let's see. So, yeah, we got two. I've spoke about Cager quite a few times, William. I think he could make the team as a red zone threat for sure. Yeah, so is it 7 teams this year? At first I heard they were doing the 7 teams this year, and then I heard that they may not be doing it until next year. I'm expecting no less than playoffs in 2021. Yeah, hey, if it's 7 teams this year in 2020, I want us to at least be in the thick of it come week 16, week 17. Towards the end of the year, I want us to be in contention to make that spot. I know we got a tougher schedule this year. We got a lot more travel this year too. But come on, man. I think we did a lot to improve this team, and I'm excited about where the direction. What would be a successful season for Gase to keep his job, better offense, and no playoffs? Yeah, I don't think it's a playoff or bust. I think it really has to be – they got to improve. Because if we are playing a much more difficult schedule this year, and that has to factor into it. I don't trust Gase. His play calls crap most of the time. Yeah, so – I have a very short leash with him as well. I don't see him getting fired midseason though. Think about this. I know some people like, should they fire him midseason if he gets off to a slow start and make Greg Williams the interim coach? Who's going to be your offensive coordinator? Who? That guy that holds the clipboard? I can't even remember his name. Our offensive coordinator, who is Adam Gase's lackey and holds the clipboard, doesn't really do anything, right? Or are you going to Jim Bob Cooter? No, I don't trust any of the guys behind Gase. Even more than I don't trust Gase, right? So it's like I wouldn't want to do that to Sam in the middle of a season, where we don't have somebody that I trust to become the offensive coordinator / play caller. So I think Gase at least makes it through the season. But hey, I'm a Jets fan, man, and I'm a big Sam Darnold fan. I'm hoping that Gase is the coach here for the next decade, because if he fails out, that's really going to hurt this team, man. We got to go to another offense now with Darnold. So that is, I really hope that he just, does well. The Jets 3 safety package is going to be nasty as hell. Yeah, I mean, I think they had the best safety tandem in the league already. And now you bring in Ashton Davis, who has a lot of ability to move around. With Greg Williams' creativity, you have 3 safeties that can do almost anything. So they can line up all over the place, and he can get really exotic with the coverages and the blitzes. So it's going to be impressive. We'll take a few more here. I'll go a few more minutes later because we got 25 people in here. Man, I really appreciate all you guys coming in here. Gate's going to run a lot of plays. Yeah. And that's the thing too. So Stephen, you bring up a good point with how bad the offensive line is. And I honestly believe if you look at those games when Darnold was out, and then you look at the Cowboy game, that's 2 completely different playbooks. That is 2 completely different playbooks. You have a guy that was on the practice squad that is now your starting quarterback. And that was my one big thing I did not like about Joe Douglas. That's the one negative I have about him through his whole tenure so far. Why didn't we go out and sign a veteran quarterback? I don't understand that. Like, we were playing with a practice squad quarterback that couldn't get a first down. It was ridiculous. I mean, I don't think you did the guy, Luke Falk. I don't think you did him any favors. I don't think you did this team any favors by keeping that guy in there. I mean, I couldn't stand the fact that we didn't go get somebody. I guess they just I don't know if they didn't want to hear the rumblings if the veteran played well about rushing back to Arnold or anything like that. I don't know, but that baffled me, and that's the one. I'm not going to get on him about the Khalil signing because we all thought it was a good signing and he was a good player. It just didn't work out. I think the timing of it didn't work out well, and it really seemed to rub the locker room the wrong way because he came in so late and Harrison had worked so hard. I think the locker room got a little upset that he kind of just got pushed to the side like that. You think players, Poole, Jenkins, etc., that receiver 1-year contract will play their tails off to eventually get a contract extension in the midseason, just like we did with Griffin last year? Yeah, of course they have to. Pal, even if it's not for us, they got to play their hearts out for all these other teams. They're on a 1-year deal. So they're going to be free agents no matter whether we re-sign them or somebody else does. So they got to be playing hard. They're playing for the next contract. Okay, it is 7 teams this year. Yeah, like I said, I heard that, and then I heard something else that said they may have kept it regular for this 1 year. To be fair to defense, the Jets' offense put them against the wall. Yeah, Darth Monica, I mentioned that before. The offense did not do them any favors last year, and even the punter, right? Lachlan Edwards was an average at best punter. There was a few times where he shanked them and really put the defense in a bad spot. So I think man could really help out the defense as well. So it's going to be, like I said, you're helping the defense a lot of ways, and they were already top 10. So I have high expectations for defense. Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough. Yeah, Jim Bob Cooter, but I don't trust Jim Bob Cooter to take over as the offensive coordinator. That's my problem. Darryl Watkins, yeah, I don't even care enough to remember his name. It's playoff or bust. No Tom Brady and Hoyer as quarterbacks of the Patriots. You think Hoyer's going to be the quarterback? I thought they were going to go with the guy Stidham, who threw a touchdown pass to Jamal Adams last year. I don't think they go with Hoyer. I think they're going to play Stidham and see what he's got, and then because then all the more reason if they really suck, they can get Trevor Lawrence next year. But the Bills are going to be the team to beat this year for sure. They got the best team in the division, if you ask me. Dolphins had a terrible draft. I wouldn't say they had a terrible draft. I didn't understand them picking corner in the first round when they just paid all that money to Jones. It just doesn't make sense. They have the 2 highest paid corners in the league, and then you go and draft a corner in the first round. And these guys are recent signings, so it's not like they're trying to get out of a contract. Unless they plan on moving Jones to safety. I don't know if they plan on moving Byron Jones back to safety. They did pay him a lot of money if they're going to do that. Or maybe they're just trying to keep up with all these receivers. V-Man, I hope so. I hope we do surprise some people this year. Mekhi Becton will be the second coming of Winston Hill. Mekhi Becton is a very angry man right now, from what I read. So I know there wasn't a lot of people when I was talking about it in the beginning. I'll kind of talk about that, and then this will probably be the last thing we'll go through here. But Becton's trainer came out and I guess he was interviewed with somebody, and he was talking about how Becton is very upset that he was not the first tackle taken. He said they asked him why, and his trainer said that Becton always feels like he's never been the guy, and he feels like he's always been slighted that way, and he is ecstatic that he came to the Jets. Think about it. Andrew Thomas was the first tackle taken. He's playing for the Giants in the same building. So he wants to stick it to the Giants. He wants to stick it to the Browns. And he's working hard. They actually said they got him on a diet to where he's able to now maintain his weight. So that was one of the things that people were concerned about as he progressed in his career. Will he be able to keep the weight off? Because at one point in college, he ballooned up to 390. So they actually got him on a diet where he's consuming like 6,000 calories a day, which is more than what he was consuming, but it's better food. And he's eating it more strategically. So he's actually able to lose weight and control his weight more with that diet. So that was interesting to see as well. So I love that he's got that chip on his shoulder. I love that he's got that fire that he wants to be the best in there. So that's going to be interesting to see. That makes me feel a little bit better about the pick because I know that he was kind of like highest ceiling, lowest floor. I think that raises his floor a little bit for me because it shows that commitment. It shows that dedication that he's going to work his tail off to give Joe Douglas the opportunity to pick his own coach. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. He's going to have the opportunity to pick his own coach if Gase doesn't work out, because I think he's done a great job to where – and they're not going to fire him after 1 year. I mean, Gase is either going to be the coach or he's not, and that's going to be dependent on this year. If he's back for 2021, I think he gets he's going to be back. I think if he's going to fail out anytime soon, it's after this year. So we'll see what happens and if they're going to move up. Sorry, the offense has to catch up with the defense. Yes, I think it's in that direction, Motivated T. We're getting close to catching up. I'm glad we don't have to worry about punter for the next 15 years with Man being drafted to kick remains. Yeah, man, they said they compared him to Shane Lechler. That is a big compliment to Man. Shane Lechler was a beast for a very long time. And what did the Raiders drafted him in the second round or something? So we got him in the sixth, so I'm happy about that. But people underestimate the special teams, man. I mentioned this in the beginning of the chat too, and I mentioned on one or two of my videos. I was a collegiate kicker, D3 though, very small. So I always have an affinity for special teams. Kickers and punters are way more valuable than people give them credit for. Flipping the field on a punt can change the momentum. You pin a team, and coughing corners and pinning people deep changes momentum. Your defense and your team gets fired up when you pin them inside the 5, when you pin them inside the 10. Because then they get their ears pinned back and they're just attacking. Right? So it has more of a swing of momentum than people think. Even especially kickers too. A missed kick can really hurt the team. If Gase is out next season, who do you want the Jets head coach? That's tough to tell right now. It's too early. I know Eric Bieniemy, as Light says there, is a big candidate. My question with Bieniemy, and I heard somebody say this too, is he's been kind of the top coordinator for the last few years now, and he's interviewed for a lot of jobs and hasn't gotten any of them. So I don't know if that scares me a little bit. I don't know if people are thinking that is more about Andy Reid than Eric Bieniemy. So that could be something that scares me with that. But I don't know. If they do let Gase go, we'll definitely have some chats about whoever they're interviewing and different people that are candidates at that time. It's tough to tell because you don't even know who's going to be up for head coaching positions at that time between coordinators at the NFL level or college coaches. What college coaches might be looking to make the jump. So, no, I would not pursue AB. And Douglas wouldn't touch him at all. I think if you looked at what he looked for in this draft, he wants no part of those types of players. He is fixing this locker room. He drafted 5 straight captains. That should tell you enough. He doesn't want AB. He does not want AB at all. So, and I think that goes the same thing with OBJ. Because I know that there was all those rumors, are we going to trade for OBJ? No way. That's not the type of players that Joe Douglas wants. Which I'm happy about because we need to get people. We need to build that chemistry. Look at the Ravens. They don't ever have people like that, right? And that's where he came from. And they sustain success. The Ravens are always good. They're always good. You guys need to stop. Gase is going to be the coach for the next 2 years at least. Him and Douglas are friends. It's ride or die with them too. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I hope he succeeds. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for at least this year because last year we were just completely devastated and rated of any type of talent due to injury. We used to have one of the better special teams units in the league under former coach Mike Westhoff, who was a genius. Yes, Mike Westhoff is probably one of the best special teams coaches of all time. He was amazing. I love Mike Westhoff. But the special teams coach we have now is a solid coach. We had the top special teams unit 2 years ago when that kicker that went to Seattle and our return man that went to Buffalo. We had – a really good special teams unit. I think he gets a lot out of him. We just got to get him talent. We can't just keep letting kickers go and bringing in just scrap heap players. So I like the special teams coordinator that we have now as well. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, though. The OC from Baltimore has transformed the offense and Joe Douglas connection. Yeah, I don't know if there's a Joe Douglas connection there, though, because Joe Douglas hasn't been in Baltimore in a little while, and I don't know how long that offensive coordinator has been there. So they may not have overlapped. I'd have to look that up. I really don't know off the top of my head, though. Baltimore always has a monster draft. I mean, I love J.K. Dobbins to Baltimore. Are you kidding me? J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson. That's unbelievable because you know they love to run, and now they got just another person. Cowboys had big – yeah, Cowboys did very, very well. Boyer, yep. So, all right, guys, we went a little bit over what I said. I wanted to just try to – like I said, I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm going to try to do this more often now that I see we had – I think at the height of what I saw, we had about 25 people in here. I really, really appreciate it, man. If this continues to go well, I may just do like a one night, maybe a Sunday night until the season starts. We can do like a Sunday night where we talk about the Jets or what's going on. It's going to be a little tougher and with nothing really going on. But let me know what you guys think, man. Just comment on any one of my videos. There's anything that you guys want to talk about, things like that. But I really appreciate you guys all coming on, man. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off now. And as always, man, Jet up.